Hello! Today we are exploring what if Humphrey and Malcolm participated in Disventure Camp Season 1 rules. Both of them act how they are in the Season 1 of Ancient Ruins. To make this fair, I used a wheel to decide what teams they are part of. Humphrey is a teal member and Malcolm is a purple. Let's do this. So, Episode 1. For now, the teams are teal. Jake, Tom, Fiore, Dan, Miriam, Gret, Drew and Humphrey. For purple, it's Malcolm, Gabby, Ellie, Alec, Ashley, Lil, Will, and Nick. In the morning before the elimination, nothing much changes. Both campers just chill about. Humphrey would chill with Tom and Jake, Malcolm with Gabby, Ellie, and Alec. However, what happens at the theme changes? Basically, what happens is, later on in the episode, about halfway through, the team swap. Both teams have to eliminate one player. In the original, it was Fiore and Gabby who switched. Fiore being a child and Gabby being crazy. So, what changes? Nothing, actually. Humphrey votes for Fiore and Malcolm votes for Gabby. Now the teams have swapped. What changes for the rest of the episode? Nothing at all. The challenge outcome just doesn't change. That's it. So that's episode 1 over. Does anything change for episode 2? In episode 2, nothing much changes in the morning before the challenge, except Malcolm notices the 4-person alliance with Alec and Ellie. Gret and Tom still making an alliance. Drew and Gabby still talk. About Humphrey in the morning, he talks with Dan. However, he also sees Gret and Tom making an alliance. For the challenge, it's still the same. Humphrey helps Dan find his glasses with Gabby. About Gabby's totem, I think Humphrey gets suspicious of her and comes up with her possibly finding something out. On the logs, everything is the same, but Malcolm would join Ellie and Alec, and also Humphrey would join Dan and Gabby. Will and Fiore will still have their fight, and everyone would think Will is crazy, including Malcolm, because of course he does. So, purple loses still. Elimination, instead of it being 4-2-1 for Fiore, Will, Fiore, and Alec, it's time for 5-2-1 but Ashley would vote Malcolm instead of Alec. So, nothing changes much. Will is gone. And that's episode 2 for us. Episode 3. In the beginning, Humphrey hangs out with Dan. And also, in the morning, Gabby goes to talk to Ellie, her crush. Nothing much changes. Humphrey says he wouldn't tell anyone neither, like Dan. Malcolm and Alec, in the morning, talk about Will's elimination and how they can get an advantage. Ellie feels out of place. This is because Malcolm and Alec have this kind of bond, and she's not really part of it. In the challenge, Malcolm and Humphrey, like the others, except Alec, Tom, Jake, Miriam, face their fears. I'm not sure what their fears would be, but they would face them. Purple team, like in the original, still wins. And for Teal's team's elimination, Humphrey joins Dan, Tom, and Jake and Drew to form a boys' alliance. They still say Gret, but Tom says no, let's vote Gabby, and they still think they are. However, Humphrey does not like that, so he pulls Drew and Dan to one side and discusses that it is not a good idea. 1, they all have ties with Gabby. 2, Tom has been acting suspicious, especially when they mentioned Gret, so they decided to stay strong. Gret has to be eliminated, so the votes are 4 for Drew, 3 for Gret, and 1 for Gabby. The boys are very confused at this, and Drew is gone. This is when the game goes a bit weird, actually. It becomes different. Alright, Dan and Humphrey come together and discuss what happened and how they voted for Gret. While someone voted for Gabby and another Drew. From All the Boys Alliance, Humphrey, being smart, points the finger on Tom for his behaviour, and Dan agrees. Tom and Jake approach them to discuss. They are completely confused, but Humphrey and Dan, knowing what happened, act normal. On purple, the events stay the same, with Fiore burning Nick and Ashley's belongings. Nick believing Lil did it still happens. However, Malcolm stays quiet, just like Alec and Ellie. For the challenge, it's still the same, where they have to go to a lake, travel across the lake, and then have one-on-one fights. But unlike the original, as there's 7 people, one person from each team would have to travel alone. For Teal, the pairs are Tom and Jake, Dan and Humphrey, Gabby and Gret, with Miriam going on her own. For Purple, the pairs are Alec and Malcolm, Len and Ashley, Nick and Fiore, with Ellie going on her own, which he's mad at. The challenge basically stays the same. Teal arrives first, but as there is an extra member for each team, the team has to get 4 points to win instead of 3. The outcome is the same, as Humphrey wins against Malcolm. Before elimination, Fiore approaches Malcolm, Ellie and Alec to discuss elimination. Alex suggests Nick, but Malcolm, being the smart guy he is, suggests another person. At the elimination, the votes are Lil and Ashley voting for Fiore, Nick voting for Lil, and Fiore, Ellie, Malcolm and Alec getting out Ashley. Because if Lil and Nick are arguing, this will take away any threats to our alliance. Alec congratulates Malcolm for his decisions, making Ellie mad once again. The reward for the last challenge was being able to make phone calls home, so Teal makes their phone calls. Humphrey calls his mum, all was happy. However, he notices Gabby and Gret's phone calls. He approaches Gret and tries to comfort her, because her mum prefers her brother. However, she snaps at him. Humphrey tells Gabby not to talk to her now and comforts Gabby, because her phone call wasn't the best either. Nick and Lil are still arguing, but Lil begs Nick to listen and help her get Fiore's diary. Nick hesitates, but does go along with the plan. They both find out about Fiore's true nature. During the challenge, instead of Fiore cooking, Malcolm cooks, making Ellie mad again. Miriam comforts Jake about his grandmother passing while the others find ingredients. In the end, Teal wins. And there is a double elimination for Purple, where Gabby volunteers to vote for someone still. Lil and Nick expose Fiore, while Alec and Malcolm are okay with it, with Ellie being stuck in the middle. Fiore, Malcolm and Alec discuss who should go between Lil and Nick, but decide Lil should go, as Nick is kind of... You can play with Nick a bit. Like, manipulate him. So, the votes for the first elimination are Lil and Nick vote for Fiore, while the others vote for Lil, meaning she is out. However, there is still Gabby's vote. Ellie, with her bond with Gabby, tells her to vote for Alec, and he is the 5th one out of Disventure camp. Ellie got very worried about him and Malcolm, and felt like it wasn't safe for her for them to be such a strong duo. So Alec and Lil walk out angry. Now the team is Fiore, Ellie, Malcolm and Nick, with Ellie having a huge target on her back. Malcolm and Fiore are mad at Ellie for getting rid of Alec rather than Nick. Malcolm threatens to vote Ellie for being a traitor. Ellie approaches Nick, saying if they lose again, they need to work together, because if they don't, that could be trouble. They both settle for Fiore. In the challenge, the hosts state it will be both teams going to elimination, and one team member wins immunity for each team. The challenge starts. Malcolm and Fiore are annoyed at Ellie for betraying them, so they do everything in their power to make sure she does not win. Nick manages to get Ellie away from them, thanking her for everything, for not eliminating him. In Teal Team's case, Gret forces Gabby to get Dan and Humphrey out of the challenge. As well as that, Gret exposes Tom as the one to vote for Drew and as a spy to Jake. Like in the original, this causes tension. In the end, Ellie let Nick win, and like in the original, Gabby wins. Who goes home? Miriam recruits Gabby to vote for Gret, while Dan and Humphrey agree that Tom should go. Gret is on her own and votes for Humphrey, while Tom and Jake vote for each other because of the Tom vote for Drew drama and him being a spy. This means that... Oh, and also... Yeah, we covered everyone. This means that Tom is eliminated with 3 votes. For Purple, Nick and Ellie vote for Fiore, and Malcolm and Fiore vote Ellie. forcing a tie. As Fury sucks at challenges, Ellie stays, and Fury is gone. Like in episode 7 of the original season, there is a twist. But this will be different. In this version, only one member swaps teams and the other goes home, all decided by a challenge. Obviously, Fury is gone, and Tom joins Malcolm, Ellie, and Nick. Tom becomes friends with Ellie and discusses his problem with Jake. However, he does not give much information. Ellie comforts Tom and tells him to talk it out. On the teal, Miriam comforts Jake about Tom and tells him he should apologise. In the challenge, it is the same. Gabby and Ellie on the wheels. Purple wins. On teal, Gabby, Miriam, Jake, Humphrey, and Dan decide it is time for Gret to go. They had had enough of her. Jake tries to talk to Tom, but it does not work, though. Episode 8 is merge time. It seems there's a few alliances. Miriam, Gabby, and Jake, Humphrey and Dan, Ellie, Tom, Malcolm, and Nick. Ellie switches alliances to be with Gabby, so she joins Jake, Miriam, and Gabby. Like in the OG, Tom gets fired and decides not to talk to Jake. In the challenge, it is the quiz. Without Fury's help, the trio, who's not even there, do not pull off that strategy. Humphrey can read people easily, so he's the one who gets the crown. At the elimination, Humphrey and Dan vote for Miriam. Tom, Malcolm, and Nick vote for Jake. Miriam, Gabby, Ellie, and Jake vote for Malcolm, sending him home. Okay, episode 9. Tom and Jake sort things out, and say to take it slow. In the challenge, Ellie goes first and loses, making Gabby mad. Nick decides it is time to play strategic, or he is next on the chopping block, and he takes the win. Elimination. There are two sides, two kind of alliances. Tom, Jake, Ellie, Miriam, and Gabby. And then there's also Dan, Nick, and Humphrey. As Nick has won immunity, it's time for Dan to say goodbye. Same challenge for episode 10, but Humphrey finds the immunity totem, but Nick steals it. Rather than Alec and Fury convincing Ellie, Nick convinces Ellie to make a lie about Tom to Jake, so he can stay in the game. Ellie, this time, wins immunity. Humphrey notices Nick's evilness and tells Jake because it's wrong. Also, Humphrey notices his totem is gone and points the finger at Nick, and also begs Nick not to vote for him. The two, luckily for Humphrey, come to an arrangement. Tom finds out about the drama between Jake and the cheating boyfriend stuff, and is mad at Jake before the elimination, before they could vote. Miriam, Jake, Ellie, and Gabby vote for Nick. Tom votes for Jake. Humphrey and Nick vote for Tom, and with the immunity totem, Tom goes. In the morning, Jake is mad at Ellie for the lie. In the cave, they go in duos. Ellie and Gabby, Miriam, Jake, and Humphrey and Nick. The challenge is basically the same, and sadly for the others, Nick wins. Miriam, Jake, and Humphrey vote for Ellie. Nick votes for Miriam, and Gabby and Ellie vote for Jake. However, you think Ellie is gone? No, she is not. Gabby saves her with the totem she found in episode 2, meaning Jake is gone. Alright, episode 12. To find out who's going to lose, because it's a pair challenge, they have to stack wooden models of contestants' heads. Whoever loses goes. Ellie struggles, Gabby saves her. Nick, Humphrey, Miriam, and Ellie makes it first. So that means Gabby goes. Now for the main bulk of the episode. There are duos. Humphrey and Nick, Ellie and Miriam. Miriam convinces Nick to get rid of Humphrey because he is strong. And it kind of plays out like the other one. Miriam and Ellie win, though, instead of Miriam and Fury, and Humphrey goes. Alright, this is how the supporters look. So we've got for Miriam, Jake, Tom, Fury, Lil, Ashley, and Will. For Ellie, it's Gabby, Humphrey, Dan, and Drew. And then for Nick, it's Malcolm, Gret, and Alec. And then we've got our 3 finalists. To help, we've got Tom for Miriam, Gabby for Ellie, and Malcolm for Nick. It kind of plays out like the original. Instead of it being Fiore who's manipulating the others, it's Nick who's evil. And then also, Miriam also fakes a heart attack like in the original, fooling Ellie, causing her to be in third place again. And this goes into the second round, like the actual final challenge, where Tom swaps the flags. Malcolm does the same thing Gret does for Fiore. It's kind of the same. And that also makes... Also, there are other people who've joined Nick's side now. Ellie and Gabby. And then the rest have gone to Miriam. Alright, now... That means that if it's the same as the original, who wins? It's Miriam. And this means that she's the winner of Disventure Camp Season 1. Still. Like in the original. Right, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it, so bye!